gonna run through 10 that I am most excited to see that are very highly anticipated or interesting. I'll throw in a couple of honorable mentions to start, but let's get rolling. First, we have K-Pops. This is the directorial debut from musician, artist Anderson .Paak, and it looks to be a comedy drama following a musician played by Paak himself as he moves to South Korea to attempt to revive his career by joining a K-pop band. There he reunites with his long-lost son, who is a rising star in the K-pop scene. It sounds a little bit absurd, but I respect Anderson .Paak as an artist, and I'm at least interested to see how it plays out. Another quick honorable mention would be the assessment from new director, at least in the feature film world, Flora Fortune. She's directed some music videos for folks like Drake and Travis Scott, but this is her first foray into a feature-length narrative film, and she has a pretty decent cast for first ever project. This film will star Alicia Vikander and Elizabeth Olsen. It is a science fiction film set in a world that has been destroyed by climate change, and this couple has to essentially pass an assessment before they are legally allowed to have children. So a pretty interesting sci-fi concept. Last honorable mention before we get into the real list is a film called Bird, from director Andrea Arnold and starring rising star Barry Keoghan, who has been in everything, it seems, in the last several years. This film actually had its premiere at Cannes, but is fortunately joining us at TIFF with a number of other Cannes selections. Bird follows Barry Keoghan's character as somewhat of a deadbeat father, caring for his two children, one of which played by newcomer Nakaya Adams is kind of a breakout performance, at least as reported from Cannes, so expect some drama, some family dynamics here. But with Arnold behind it, I'm pretty intrigued, the director of films like American Honey, for example. Number 10 is Heretic. This is an A24 project that comes from duo directors Scott Beck and Brian Woods, who actually co-wrote the original Quiet Place that has now evolved into a bit of a series on its own. That's the positives when it comes to these two directors. Unfortunately, they did actually more recently direct the film 65 starring Adam Driver, which was not so brilliant. Heretic is a psychological horror film starring Hugh Grant, Chloe East, and Sophie Thatcher. The concept itself is pretty interesting. It follows some Mormon missionaries who attempt to convert a man, and as you might expect, things do not go as planned. Number 9 is Hard Truths. This comes from director Michael Lee in, believe it or not, his 23rd film at 81 years old. We have a few older filmmakers that are still putting out projects this year and in recent memory, some good, some not so great, and some yet to be determined. Lee, of course, is known for projects like Secrets and Lies and other projects like Topsy Turvy, Vera Drake, and Another Year. This project stars Marianne Jean-Baptiste, who is actually reunited with Lee years later after receiving an Oscar nomination herself for Secrets and Lies. Hard Truths has been described as both a comedy and a tragedy. Perhaps some Shakespearean elements are present there, but essentially it is looking at family. It is looking at compassion. It appears to be a very human story about resilience and about individual strength and weakness, but also the strength and weakness of us as human beings in general. This project was originally scheduled for a theatrical release in October, although there have been some reports that it might be delayed till 2025, so expect it either in the fall or the winter of next year. Number 8 is Eden. This film comes from accomplished American director Ron Howard. This cast is absolutely studded. It stars Ana de Armas, who, of course, was nominated for an Academy Award for her work in Blonde. We also have Jude Law from films like The Talented Mr. Ripley. We have Vanessa Kirby from Pieces of a Woman, which I thought was an absolutely underrated, brilliant performance a couple years ago. And Sydney Sweeney, who also seems to just be everywhere these days. We don't know too much about the ins and outs, the details of this project. We know that it's a survival thriller set on the Galapagos Islands, where a group of humans set out to kind of discover the meaning of life. And I'm sure that some existential dread, some thrills are on the way. Number 7 is Anora. This film comes from American independent filmmaker Sean Baker, who rose to relative indie prominence with his debut feature Tangerine, which was shot on a collection of iPhones, a very talented director that can work well within his means. Anora is revisiting some familiar topics that he has explored in other projects concerning sex workers, for example. This one in particular follows Mikey Madison in the title role of Anora as an exotic dancer and follows her romance with a Russian oligarch. It competed for the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival this year, and I am super excited to see another smaller independent project from Sean Baker. Right now, this one is scheduled for an October release, at least in the United States. Number 6 is We Live in Time. This comes from accomplished director John Crowley, who is known probably most for Brooklyn, which received 3 Oscar nominations, but also directed projects like Intermission, which is very much an underseen Irish black comedy starring some of the best Irish actors in Cillian Murphy and Colin Farrell. Crowley has also been a successful stage director, which always is intriguing to me when we get to see more of their work on the big screen, because it does tend to lend itself to some pretty powerful and efficient dialogue. And continuing on that note, the writer here is Nick Payne, who is mostly known as a playwright. He has written plays like Constellations, for example, which I was fortunate enough to see on Broadway with Jake Gyllenhaal. I didn't see it with Jake Gyllenhaal, but he was the lead in Constellations on Broadway. The cast here is comprised of a power duo in Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. I am a fan of both of them to varying degrees, but I'm interested to see their chemistry in this romance film that apparently spans a decade. I really hope that I can buy into their relationship and into their struggles. Number 5 is The Return. This comes from director Roberto Pasolini, who is most known actually for his producer roles in older projects like The Full Monty back in 1997. But this film has the makings of an epic. It could be a brilliant, brilliant piece of art. It could also be not very good, but the potential is there. This is probably most because of the cast. We have the brilliant, one of the most talented technical actors in the world in Ralph Fiennes, who has spent much of his career with the Royal Shakespeare Company, but of course also on the big screen in films just like Schindler's List and The English Patient. And alongside him is actually his co-star in The English Patient, in Juliette Binoche, who won an Academy Award for her performance in that film. This is a historical drama, which is essentially a retelling of Homer's Odyssey. This is not the first time that a filmmaker has kind of attempted a retelling of the Odyssey. It's come in different forms before, some more serious than others, right? We have projects like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, for example, which is a kind of loose retelling, but this one seems to be much more rooted in the original story. Number 4 is The Shrouds. This is another Cannes film that will be playing at the Toronto International Film Festival, and I'm so excited for it. It comes from brilliant, acclaimed Canadian director David Cronenberg, who of course is known for films like The Fly, but also more recent projects like Crimes of the Future. Cronenberg has described The Shrouds as being his most personal project, and well, of course we can't take that in a complete literal sense, as the plot of this film involves technology that attempts to bring loved ones back from the dead. We can certainly imagine that there is still a lot of personal connection underlying the thematic exploration here of loss and of grief. Of course, though, it is a Cronenberg film, so we shouldn't expect it to be a straightforward drama. I'm sure that there will be some twists, some turns, and perhaps some gore that works very well for some and not so well for others. Right now, it looks like Cronenberg's The Shrouds will be set for an early 2025 release. Number 4 is Emilia Perez from auteur-director Jacques Audiard, known for projects like A Prophet in 2009 and The Sisters Brothers more recently in 2018. Emilia Perez, for several reasons, is one of the buzziest films of the festival. This is in part due to the cast, with a couple lesser-known names paired with a couple pretty big names here. We have Carla Sofia Gascon and Adriana Paz, who are not particularly well known, but then they are paired with Zoe Saldana and Selena Gomez, two actresses and a musician who are among the A-list celebrities of Hollywood. So the cast is one reason for the buzz, but the other reason is the plot and also the reception that it had at Cannes this year. Essentially, Emilia Perez tells the story of a lawyer who is tasked with assisting a cartel leader who wants to fake their own death and go through gender-affirming surgery. We can understand why this kind of general plot line might be contentious for a number of reasons, given the current political climate. But outside of the just general plot itself, it received an 11-minute standing ovation at Cannes, and this group of 4 actresses won the Best Actress award as one cohesive whole, with one of the jurors, Lily Gladstone, saying that they're stronger when they resound together, and so they had to give the award to all 4. Emilia Perez is set to come out on Netflix, actually, November 13th, but will also receive a short theatrical release, which is yet to be determined. Number 2 is Nightbitch. This film I am so excited for. It is a project from director Marielle Heller, who is married to Yorma from The Lonely Island. Small world out there. She is an actor and a director, and she's honestly hit with all 3 of her feature films so far, in The Diary of a Teenage Girl, Can You Ever Forgive Me, and most recently, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. This project stars Amy Adams, who has fallen a little bit from grace recently, but I'm still confident is one of the stronger actors working today. And Nightbitch might be that opportunity to get her kind of back into the good graces of audiences around the world. Nightbitch has been described as, which I think is very funny, a comedy for women and a horror for men. Essentially, it follows Adam's character as she pauses her very successful career to be a stay-at-home mother. It is an adaptation of a 2021 novel, which Adams herself actually said that it was unique and otherworldly, so not surprising that she wanted to join this particular film. As Adams progresses through the film, she starts to develop some, shall we say, dog-like characteristics, which, of course, ties into the title itself. The film is essentially a metaphor for motherhood and the metamorphosis that women undertake as they become mothers. Yes, I understand that the concept is a little bit strange, it's a little bit weird, but it has so much potential to share very meaningful messaging while also being able to incorporate some genre elements in a unique way. Right now, this one is set for a December 6th release in the United States, with some other country releases being announced shortly. And number one is The Substance. This is another Cannes film that I am super excited for. The film comes from brilliant director Coralie Farja, who is most known for her 2017 film Revenge, which incorporated some of these genre elements that are also present in The Substance. The Substance follows Demi Moore as a 50-year-old woman who loses her job due to her age. As she returns home, she receives kind of a mysterious notice that she is able or eligible for these new injections that could possibly de-age her and save her career. It's pretty evident from just the teaser trailer that this film will be sick. It will be a little bit twisted. It looks to incorporate some of those body horror elements that we might associate with directors that have already shown up on this list in David Cronenberg. But this is set to really be a feminist body horror. A lot of comparisons to 10, which was a Palme d'Or winner a couple of years ago. And IndieWire has coined it an instant classic, epic, audacious body horror masterpiece. And that's saying a lot from IndieWire's chief writer, who does not always heap praise on these sorts of projects. The film has been acquired by Mubi and is actually set for a theatrical release pretty much just after TIFF on September 19th. Thanks so much for watching. If you don't mind to like, subscribe, comment, do all of those things, I really appreciate it as a human being. So yeah, watch the next one too. Thanks.